Outdoor advertising is one sector of the market tipped for growth despite the difficult conditions, and as a result there's been plenty of M&A action already this year, with the takeover of oOh!media by Champ Private Equity, 10 mulling the sale of its outdoor unit iCorp. And this week APN completed its outdoor JV deal with Quadrant Private Equity. This deal though doesn't cover APN's half share of the AdShell business, and to tell us more about all of the moves that we're seeing in the sector, we're joined now by Rob Atkinson, the CEO of AdShell. Rob, thanks so much for coming on the program.
My pleasure.
You've actually arrived in Australia at a pretty exciting time in outdoors. We were just listing there a lot of investment activity. Is that good for all players, including AdShell?
Yeah, I really think it is, because it puts a spotlight on the sector at a time when new technology is looking to transform the sector, in particular around mobile and digital, without losing the core strength of what out-of-home delivers, which is big numbers, big reach, big frequency.
That you're coming from the UK, has there been sort of investment activity in the UK in the outdoor space as well, and is there a lot of learnings to come from the UK market?
I think there's an enormous amount of learnings. There's been big investment. Just take Clear Channel in the UK. They're now, obviously the investment came from Bain Capital and Thomas H. Lee, two VCs, and I think the reason why so much private equity is looking at the outdoor sector worldwide, never mind just the UK or Australia, is because people are seeing the fact that in many respects, and Australia is a great example, it's been undervalued. I mean, 4% of the advertising cake is probably not representative of what out-of-home can actually deliver for advertisers to the consumer. So I think that's one of the reasons why they're looking to get into it. I think the second one is there's more research and insight around the consumer, which is more sophisticated. So we're doing a lot more work around return on investment. We're starting to understand where the consumer lives, where they work, how they get there, what mood they're in when they're out and about. And let's be honest, I think people are more inclined to welcome out of home into their lives, because when they're out and about they want to be entertained, they want to be inspired, they want to be informed, much more so than when they're in their private environment, which is they're on their tablet, they're on their mobile phone, or they're watching television.
Your other owner, APN,
yes.
Looking at this, I mean, are you free to compete with APN here? in this market?
We're very competitive with them. They're in a different sector, though, if we think about it. They're in large format, they're in internal environments like obviously airports, they're also in buses, and we're in a different segment to them in terms of street furniture. We share a concession in rail as well, and we're in retail as well. So.
You specialise very much in that street furniture area. We see your sign when we walk around the city. Can you grow the company by staying in that, or could you sort of spread your wings a little bit?
I think we can, because of course what we can do is revolutionise what assets we've got through new technology, so we can build interaction through mobile, particularly in the area of NFC, near field communication, which I think will have a transformational effect on outdoor per se, but particularly on small format street furniture, where you're actually standing at bus stops, you've got downtime and dwell time. So what better way than actually interact with a bus shelter and get useful and information about potentially the latest new film, a voucher to be used in a supermarket or in a retail outlet. Perfect environment for that. So there's that, but you're right, the other thought and part of sort of my ambition is to look at other sectors that we can grow into and other markets that we can move into that'll expand and accelerate the performance of the business.
I just wanted to ask you there, you talked about the transformative effect that NFC, mobile could have. What's your forecast then? Because everyone's been talking about outdoor and online being, those areas of big growth in media. What's your forecast for outdoor?
Well, our forecast is for steady growth over the next, I think the latest forecasts were that the two biggest growth areas from 2011 to 16 are going to be online and digital out of home. And it fits, it makes sense. If we're only a 4% medium at the moment, there's so much room for expansion, and I think the transformational effect of digital and mobile will enable that to happen. And I think the other major factor is that out of home works exceptionally well with television. It adds a halo effect, which is useful, but it also works exceptionally well with online. And if anything, there's a holy trinity of out-of-home, social media and online, and mobile. And the three of them, you can see the synergistic effect of all three. And I think they can work in harmony. And that will obviously help us grow the sector as well.
Rob, been great to talk to you today. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Rob Atkinson there, CEO of AdShell. Well, now to the reaction from markets to the trading update from APN News and Media this week. Chris Weston from IG Markets has the details.
First of all, looking at APN, we saw them at their AGM yesterday talking about the trading update, where we saw them complete the transaction to establish their outdoor division as a 50-50 JV with the private equity firm Quadrant. Effectively, what we're seeing here is an enterprise value worth about 272 million, which has been put on the outdoor division, and APN, the company, will actually net proceeds of around 190 million. Now, that will feed into their first half 2012 results. They have said that the first half will be down about 3 million from the previous corresponding period, which suggests we're around about $18 million worth of net profits. What they also, if you extrapolate that and you work the equation, it does suggest that their first half net profits will fall about 14%. So overnight we have seen a load of brokers coming out and downgrading the forward EPS assumptions, earnings per share assumptions. Credit Suisse, for example, taking their forward EPS assumptions down 10 to 12%. But still, even on those metrics, you're looking at a company with trading on about 6.9 times forward earnings, which is very, very cheap indeed from a valuation perspective. Probably potential kickers for the company would be a divestment or even a restructure of some of their New Zealand assets. So we'll have to wait to see what happens the further there. The big talk today is really what we're seeing in terms of Mr. Packer. We know that he has a 45% stake in Crown at the moment, and he's made he's made it pretty obvious that he wants to increase his stake in Echo from 10%, although that's the limit he's allowed, which has been imposed by the Queensland and New South Wales government at the moment. He is looking to increase that dramatically. Now, what happens if we do see a scrip bid for Echo Entertainment, and Echo is doing very well today, it's up about 1.5%. From Crown, it will see his holdings in Crown diluted from 45% perhaps down to as low as 31%, which puts him in a quite vulnerable position. So what's the talk now? He's potentially going to look to bolster that holding by selling out some of his media holdings. He obviously owns a pretty big controlling stake in Consolidated Media Holding. The big questions that markets are looking for at the moment is what's going to be the fee for this. It's rumoured to be around about $1 billion Australian dollars to sell these assets, and then who's going to look to try and pick them up. And obviously the front runner would be News Corp, who would then own 100% of Fox Sports and 50% with Telstra of Foxtel. So that's the interesting story at the moment. If you look at Telstra, it's only down 0.3%. Seven, which are another company which has been rumoured to be in the mix, are pretty flat. News Corp's up 0.5%, but that's probably more to do with US dollar strength. So it's a story that's been bandied around, but still very interesting nonetheless.
Time now for a look at the TV ratings. Free-to-air top 10 first. This is for week 17, and The Voice, James.
It's all 9, isn't it?
Huge hit for them. And Australia's Got Talent making it into 6th spot, 6th most watched there. And 7 News Sunday doing well too.
But also helping 9, to where it is at the moment.
Yep, and let's just turn now to subscription TV, top 5 sport there, NRL, AFL dominating, and just turning the page to the top 5 non-sport, Grand Designs, for lifestyle.
Some racing there too, Black Caviar helping Sky Racing get into the top 5.
Really interesting. Now, just looking at some of the news that we've had this week, for Hugh Sheridan, Seven's Pack to the Rafters star is moving to 10.
Yeah, 10 have signed him up to host one of their reality shows that will be coming at the end of the year, I Will Survive. But get this, he still might appear in Pack to the Rafters. So, because I think he's in New York at the moment. He hasn't said anything yet, but the news broke late this week. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens with his character in the show. One of the kids has already gone from the Rafters family. The other one's going, and he looks like he's gone too. So.
Will 10 be chasing other stars, do you think, from other networks?
There's some big names. There's been all sorts of rumours, but everything from newsreaders through to Variety. So there could be some, people who aren't sort of lockdown contracts. James Warburton's been talking to probably most of them, and there'll be some new names revealed soon. And
there is talk that the 10 Breakfast co-host Paul Henry could be the new host of Can of Worms.
Yeah, I've heard that. But then again, other people have sort of put a damper on, said that, look, he hasn't even auditioned for the role yet, but it would be a good move to get some sort of more traction for that breakfast show, to get Paul Henry, who's a good talent, being paid a lot of money, get him into prime time so some other audiences could sample what he's got to offer.
And just quickly as well, Seven's coverage of the AFL's been criticised.
Yeah, taking a bit of a hammering this week. Rowan Connolly in The Age. It's been getting good ratings, but look, he said, look, there's some challenges there, both technical, challenge with some of the commentary. Seven said, yeah, look, it's like a football team. Some weeks we're good, some weeks not so good. We're still feeling our way. It's a new sort of horizon for them, having all games, but... yeah.
Just news as well too, Bob Goodge leaving Starcom.
Yeah, contributor to our show. He's leaving Starcom after 13 years. Spoke to him briefly today. He's going to the UK, taking a bit of a vacation, time out, looking for a new challenge, but he said he'll still come on the show, though.
Great. Excellent, James. Thank you so much
Thanks,
for that.
Bridie.
James Manning there from Media Week. That's all we've got time for. Thanks for your company.